Hey guys, just going to come at you with a video today in regards to a couple different thermostats, and people often ask, oh, how do I heat my rack and things like that. You know, I don't want to have 5 or 6 different heat mats because that's, you need thermostats for all them, and that just gets complicated. I'm going to first start by saying that before I got into leopard geckos, I kept ball pythons and bred them for a while. And in their rack that I used this VE200. I can tell you I have nothing but good things to say about this. I've never had a single issue with it. We kind of have issues sometimes with power going out here sometimes, little power flickers, brief instances where we're out, and this thing will go completely off and it comes back on, it has the settings still. So there's, I don't know how that compares with some of the other ones, but that's a feature I really enjoyed, and it's kept my mind at ease. I need to get an incubator ready because I've got a few females over here who should be laying here in the next few weeks, as they were ovulating and they've been paired with my male. So I needed a proportional. As everyone knows, proportional is the best thing to use with your incubators to get the constant temperature. So I moved that over here. So I said, well, I need a new thermostat for my rack. Well, the only problem with the proportional thermostats and like the VE200 in specific, you're looking at $100+ for your thermostat, which I'm not saying you should skimp out on the thermostat or what, but I did not feel like dishing that out at this time. So I did a little bit of research, did a little bit of digging for this rack, and this rack up here's a 28 quart. And there's 6 12 quarts. And the 12 quarts on the bottom are for individual adults. And I know most people use 15s, but I did a little bit of looking, and these 12 quarts actually have more floor space than the 15 quarts. The only thing that's really different is they're just like a fraction of a bit shorter. So that's really no big deal with the leopard geckos since they are terrestrial, spending most of their time on the ground. The second shelf here, I've got my scale and a pen. That's for another 28 quart. I just don't have the tub right now. The heat tape in here. Oh, and this is an extra piece of 3-inch. That's actually not even hooked up. I just set it to get out of the way. Each one of these shelves has 11-inch flex watt, a 1-foot strip. So like the 28 quarts will be, they'll each have their own. And each of these 12s, the strip is in the middle of the 2 tubs. Let me pull some tubs out and just give you a better look. And you can kind of see it's got some aluminum tape on it, and so basically this will heat about a third of each side. So if you were looking at the tub this way, here's an empty one, it would be basically from here all the way over is what's under the heat tape. So that works out pretty well with this size heat tape. Optimally, I would be running, and I may switch it here at some point in the future. Optimally, I would just run a full strip of 3-inch like this. But actually, you're getting about the same amount of heating area, and you're getting the same amount of gradient, so it all works well. Okay. So the problem was I needed the new thermostat, but I didn't want to spend $100+, but I wanted something that was going to work well and keep temperatures constant. So I read a lot of reviews about some of the lower ends. And one that kept coming up was this one, this Hydro Farm. They are actually made for like germinating seeds, but a lot of people use them in the reptile. They can handle up to 1,000-watt loads. That's quite a bit. The only thing about it is it's an on-off, so it's not proportional. So you don't get the precise temperatures like that VE over there. If I was to set that thing at 95, then it would be 95 constantly. You might get like a 0.1 or 0.2 degree fluctuation here or there, but for the most part, not. So some words with this Hydro Farm. Who can use it and who can't? I would say if you have a room that stays relatively the same room temperature, ambient temperature. So this room I'm in right now pretty much stays about 78 degrees year round. It doesn't really fluctuate. It may move a couple of degrees one way or the other depending, but usually it's pretty close to about 78. And if you don't know what yours is, then it's time to invest in one of those. A thermometer. Oh, the phone's ringing. Hold on. Okay. So if you have a relatively stable temperatures, and if you're, in a place like where I live, Oklahoma, it's really either really hot, or really cold. So we're either running central heat or central air, and we have ours set to 72. And I keep this room completely closed up, and the vents closed. So that's how I get the stable temperatures in here. Another way that helps this thing keep the temperatures pretty steady is on your heat tape, making sure that it is covered in like some sort of insulator, like the foil tape, because that really helps retain a lot of that heat. So even though it may be powered off, the heat's not going to lower a whole lot, okay? And so another question you see a lot is, okay, how do I wire this? I don't get how you get all this heat running off one device when it's only got one little plug-in. Okay, this one little plug-in here, it goes back, and I'm not going to show you, but it basically goes to a surge protector where it's got, I don't know, 6 or 8 slots you can plug into. Each piece of this heat tape on this rack, the way it's set up, each piece of this heat tape has its own power cable. Okay, so each one of these pieces of heat tape plugs into that surge protector, and then the surge protector plugs into that. Now, you can also snake it. Some people have where their whole rack is powered with one plug-in, and that's fine. The only issue with that is if something happens to that cable, your whole rack's without power. In this setup, if one cable goes bad somewhere, it's just one level that's out of power. Everybody else is good. Okay. And so, to get the accurate, you hear, where do I put the probe? Well, what I've done is the probe is actually on the heat tape itself. It's going to be kind of hard to see, but it's right here. And it's not in a tub, it's just sitting on the heat tape. Okay, the only other thing is, this thing's set to 95, but obviously I don't want the temperature to be 95, so what you have to do is kind of play with that. Using this gun, a temp gun is what you test inside the tub, and you keep messing with this, so maybe you need to be 96 to get the heat through the tub itself to your desired hotspot. Kind of have to play with it and get it set up. As always, thanks for viewing. Please comment, subscribe, and like us on Facebook.